What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Space Arena Ground Arena, where we cover Star Wars Unlimited from the ground up into space. BananaCrapshoot here. It's been a little bit. As you know, I've done like 3 or 4 Cad Bane tarkintown deck profiles already. So now that we are in Jump to Lightspeed, thought it was time to share my updated version of one of my favorite decks. So here we go, Cad Bane tarkintown and how I currently have it upgraded at the beginning of Jump to Lightspeed. So the agenda, we'll go over the overview again, talk about the leader, general game plan, what new tricks he has, talk about Jabba, some play lines, and sideboard. So this is how I currently have it built overall. Running 2 Greedo, 3 McClunky, 2 Hotshot Blaster, 2 Bazine, 3 Crafty Smugglers, 2 Zygerian Star Hoppers, 2 No Good to Me Dead, 2 Contracted Jumpmaster, 3 Mist Hunter, 3, now there are 2 of them, 2 Relentless Pursuit, 2 Waylay, 3 Forlom, 2 Dengar, 2 IG 2000, 3 Jabba, 2 Boba, 3 Zuckuss, 2 Commandeer, 3 Ruthless Raider, and 2 Cad Banes. That's it. That's the list. Thanks for stopping by. I'm kidding. We'll talk about some of these cards a little more. The sideboard: 2 Force Choke, 2 Sneak Attack, 2 Lurking Tie, 2 Cham Syndulla, and 2 Syndicate Lackey. So the leader, Cad, I'm sure we all know what he does by now. Obviously, he pings units when you play an Underworld card. You exhaust him, your opponent picks a unit, and then when he deploys on 6, he's a 2/8 with Raid 2. So he's beefy, and his deploy turn, if it goes right, is pretty powerful. He's probably one of the better, more viable leaders that deploys on 6. So the general game plan with Tarkintown Cad Bane is to play Underworld units as much as possible so you can ping units and whittle them down and make them easier to remove. Use Tarkintown to remove threats. Sometimes you want to do that turn 1. Sometimes you want to save it for something else. And we're going to use the Cad pings and Tarkintown and stuff like McClunky to control the board, at the same time push damage, and then the Cad deploy turn and the turn after, you usually want to win by and slam the door shut on them. Cad games are always close. You generally don't just run away with a Cad game. Sometimes you can against aggro decks. You remove their units early, they can run out of gas really fast. But normally other mid-range decks, the Cad games, especially now, they're always a little too close for comfort, but it's still a lot of fun, and he's still really good. So some of the new tricks he has: Dengar. At the beginning of this set, initially, I was like, this is like the most busted card. This is the best card ever. He's a 4 cost, 5/4, so he's got decent stats for he's got good stats for his cost. You can pilot him for 2, and when he's a pilot, he gives +1/+2, and attach unit gains on attack, deal 2 indirect to a player. If it's on an Underworld unit, deal 3 indirect instead. So the thought with Dengar is we use him on Mist Hunter, we use him on possibly Punishing One, Contracted Jumpmaster, the Zygerian Star Hopper. He's just like an aggressive unit we can push damage with. So like on the Mist Hunter, right? The Mist Hunter becomes a 4/6. That's also dealing 3 indirect, and possibly drawing a card. So Dengar is a really solid pilot. And then the Boba Fett pilot is also really good. It's also a 5/4, but for 5, but it's also shielded. And you, again, can pilot him for 2. And when played as an upgrade, you can deal 1 damage to a unit. If you attach it to a transport, you can deal 2 instead. So the Mist Hunter is a transport. Contracted Jumpmaster is a transport if you're running Punishing One. Or the Fire Sprays, those are transports. So these pilots I have in each as a 2 of. Originally, Dengar was a 3 of. I've knocked him down to 2. They're both Underworld, so you can ping when you play them. So my thought with the pilots is they need to be good when played to the ground also. Boba Fett as a shielded 5/4 is really good on the ground, and Dengar as a 5/4 on the ground is decent. I wish he had another keyword, but for 4, getting a 5/4 it's not exactly the game plan we want for the 4 resource turn, but it's also not a terrible 4 resource turn to play a 5/4 that we can hot shot and swing for 7. So ideally, when we want to play Dengar as a pilot on one of our ships to push more damage, and Boba Fett, I'm fine either way. A 5/4 shielded on 5 that we can get out on turn 2 with, now there are 2 of them, is also a really, really good play. So I'm totally fine with Boba Fett in either arena. The utility of him being a pilot is really nice, but I've appreciated Boba Fett more and more as I've had more games within the set. So those are the pilots. If you didn't want to run the pilots, I don't think you need to, but I currently have 2 of each of them, and I've been really happy with them so far. A Commandeer is a new trick event. Take control of a non-leader vehicle, costs 6 or less. You can steal it, ready it, use it, and then it goes to their hand after the phase. So that's a new trick. We can play it for 4 with Jabba, and we can search out with Jabba. And then Mist Hunter, the new ship, it's basically replaced Punishing One. I think you could have them both. And between, like, I did a lot of work with Houndstooth, the Mist Hunter, Punishing One to try to figure out what the right split was there. And I'm just on 3 Mist Hunter, 2 Jump Masters right now. But the on attack, if you get it off, it's really nice to get extra cards anytime. So the on attack is relevant, but it's got the same stats as Punishing One. So Jabba, I have a love-hate relationship with Jabba. I have not been the biggest fan of Jabba. People that know me, that have interacted with me on Discord, know that I am not a big Jabba fan. I was not a Jabba fan in initial CAD build when he first came out in set 2. I was not a fan of Jabba in set 3, but I am a huge fan of Jabba now. And it's not so much that he searches out tricks and that he reduces tricks. That is very relevant. What I really like about Jabba right now is his 8 health. The 8 health when you're playing decks that are running crap like Planetary Bombardment and like the new Boba Fett that's just throwing indirect everywhere. Having a unit that is 8 health on turn 2 of the game or turn 3 of the game is really nice. Gives you a nice cushion, a nice buffer. It's almost like playing with a 30-bit health base when you're playing into the decks throwing out indirect damage. Like even the Django decks are pushing out some indirect damage, so having the ability to soak some of it with Jabba is super nice. The tricks and stuff like McClunky for 0 is kind of stupid. Playing Commandeer for 4 is really strong. So Jabba, I think, is way better in this set than he's ever been, and that's why I have him as a 3 of right now. And then the tricks we're running are the McClunkies, the Waylays, and now there are 2 of them, and the Commandeers. And then we do have Sneak Attack in the sideboard. So Sneak Attacks, I would side them in against control decks, mainly to sneak Ruthless Raiders in. So Jabba, big fan right now. Love him right now, used to hate him. So the general play lines, you want to use Underworld units, damage to set up the removal. You can ping in McClunky to remove a 4 health unit. You use your ping damage and your event packages, like I said, to facilitate good trades and to help you control the board. And then we use our strong mid-late game units to close. And then the CAD unit can usually slam the door shut. The sideboard, Syndicate Lackeys and Force Chokes. Those are in here for aggro matchups, mainly. Sabine's, also Han's running the Tech DJ stuff. Syndicate Lackeys and Force Chokes are for those. Sneak Attack and Lurking Ties are mainly for the control matchups. And then Cham is kind of in the middle because he could go in. Sometimes he's also a 5-4 for 4, like Dengar, right? Same stat line as Dengar. He is a good unit to bring in. Like, I'd probably bring him in some aggro matchups, but I'm definitely bringing him in against like Piet and like Han Green and decks that want to ramp. You bring Cham in to play catch up so you don't get that far behind in the resource race. And then also against Han, he helps against the Tech DJ play. So Syndicate Lackeys, Force Choke, Cham, Sneak Attack, and Lurking Ties are sideboard. Pretty decent sideboard. And then here's a look at the deck again. So the general good units, the Jump Master having a 2-4 Sentinel, and space is nice, especially if you like throw a Boba Fett on it or a Dengar on it, then you can buff it and make it even stronger. So you can, you make it better. And it's also transport, so you can get the 2 damage from Boba Fett if you play it on it. The Relentless Pursuits, I've always been a fan of Relentless Pursuits. I've usually always had some sort of a split between Pursuit and Waylay, and I know not everyone's been a fan, but I think more people are running it now, which makes sense. I think it's always been good, but the ability to capture some of these space units that people are throwing pilots on, or like the ski speeder Biggs combo that some decks are doing, you can just steal it and really put them behind on tempo. And then the IG 2000 is one that, as a 4 resource play, it's a 3/4 with overwhelm, and when played, you can deal 1 damage to 3 units. So this just helps sets up stronger McClunky plays, makes our pings better. I don't think it's the best ship, but that's why I have it in as a 2/0. But it is a decent space option. I wish it was like a 4/3 or something. I'm not crazy about the stats when it has the same stat line as a Mist Hunter, but you are getting 3 ping damage out of it, so that's where that extra resource comes from. But yeah, that's it. And then CAD unit's really good. Ruthless Raider obviously is really good. Sneak attack Ruthless Raider into control decks is always a really strong play. So Ruthless Raider, really good. CAD unit, really good. So he's just really good overall. He's in a really good spot. Go out there, play some games with them, have fun, and try it out, and let me know what you think. Thanks. And we will see you in the arenas.